to this day, no one knows for sure whether temples came first or agriculture. But today, through this video, we will tell you what truly happened. For thousands of years, human history told the same story. First, humans learned to farm, then they settled into villages, and once society became stable, the first temples were built. However, stones buried beneath a hill in a corner of the world challenged this entire narrative, because a temple was found there that was thousands of years older than the advent of agriculture. That place is called Göbekli Tepe, a quiet hill in southeastern Turkey that was considered nothing more than a mound of dirt for thousands of years. No one had the slightest clue that the most significant discovery of human civilization was sleeping beneath it. In 1994, German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt was surveying the area. Some unusual stones protruding from the soil on the hill caught his attention. From a distance, they looked like ordinary rocks, but upon closer inspection, he noticed fine carvings made by human hands. This was the moment a routine survey turned into the greatest archaeological discovery in human history. Excavation began. With each passing day, the layers of soil started to recede. Slowly, the edges of massive stones hidden beneath the earth began to appear to the world for the first time. One after another, colossal T-shaped stone pillars emerged from beneath the dirt. Every new finding appeared even more incredible than the last mystery. Some pillars were nearly 18 feet tall, some weighed up to 16 tons. Seeing their size and weight, even scientists were stunned. Pillars so massive that even today, heavy machinery would be required to erect them, but when they were built, no such technology existed. There was no wheel, no iron tools, and no written language. Yet, such a massive construction continues to baffle scientists today. Who carved these stones, who transported them, and how were they erected with such precision? This question remains unresolved to this day. But the biggest shock came when scientists determined their age. The results challenged the entire timeline of history. Investigations revealed that Göbekli Tepe is approximately 11,600 years old. That is, it is one of the world's oldest known temples, so old that it was built nearly 6,000 years before Stonehenge and nearly 7,000 years before the Great Pyramids of Egypt. This discovery challenged the oldest belief in history: perhaps temples were built first and agriculture began later. But the biggest mystery of Göbekli Tepe was not just its age. The symbols carved into its stones still baffle scientists. Figures of snakes, foxes, vultures, scorpions, and many wild animals are etched onto these pillars, but their true meaning remains a mystery. Some scientists believe they are not just decorations, perhaps they were part of an ancient belief, a warning, or a religious ritual. But no scientist has evidence that can fully explain the true meaning of these symbols. This is why Göbekli Tepe is still counted among the world's most mysterious archaeological sites. But one question still remains: if there were no cities or kings at that time, who built such a massive temple? Some researchers believe that perhaps temples were built first to unite people, and only after that did permanent settlements and agriculture develop. If this is true, then Göbekli Tepe may not just be a temple, but the most important link to understanding the beginning of human civilization. However, among all these pillars, one stands out. Archaeologists know it as Pillar 43 or the Vulture Stone. At first glance, it looks like the other pillars, but as one observes its carvings closely, the story begins to change. A massive vulture, animals around it, Some strange symbols and figures whose meanings still cannot be fully understood. This is the pillar that sparked the most debate worldwide. Some researchers suggested that these symbols could be related to the sky, others tried to link them to constellations, and some said perhaps it is a memory of a major natural event. But this is where science hits a wall, because there is not enough evidence to support any of these ideas. Therefore, mainstream archaeologists consider these to be interesting hypotheses, not the ultimate truth. But one question still stands: if these symbols had no meaning, why were they carved so carefully? And if they did have a meaning, how did that language disappear from history? This is the greatest strength of Gobekli Tepe. With every answer, it raises to new questions. Yet, the mystery was not fully unfolded. When scientists examined the entire complex closely, they discovered something that silenced everyone. Gobekli Tepe was not naturally buried in soil. It was intentionally filled with thousands of tons of dirt, stones, and rubble. But why? Was it part of a ritual? Did the people want to protect it for the future? Or was there a reason behind it that time took away with itself forever? This is the question whose answer is still buried beneath the soil. And from here, Gobekli Tepe ceases to be just an archaeological site. A new hypothesis turns the oldest story of history upside down, and some scientists are starting to say that perhaps the beginning of civilization was not how we have believed it to be until today. But the biggest mystery of Gobekli Tepe is not in the stones, it is in the question these stones have asked the entire world: if, 11,600 years ago, humans could create such a massive, such a complex, and such a precise structure, have we understood the beginning of human history incorrectly? This question echoed in the mind of German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt for years. He proposed a hypothesis that caught the attention of historians around the world. He believed that perhaps the story is reversed. Perhaps agriculture did not give birth to the temple, perhaps the temple made agriculture necessary. Just connect the facts: hundreds of people were gathering at the same place repeatedly. Such a large crowd needed food, needed water, needed resources, and perhaps those needs drove humans to settle in one place and start growing food. This is a significant scientific hypothesis, but it is not yet considered the final truth. Many experts say that agriculture and such religious centers must have developed together slowly. Meaning, the debate still continues. But on one thing, almost all archaeologists agree: Gobekli Tepe changed our thinking. It showed that humans of that era were not just struggling for survival, they were planning, delegating work, measuring and carving stones, and creating a structure that stands firm even 11,600 years later. But here, another question arises: despite such an amazing achievement, why is history completely silent? No kings, no empires, no wars, no inscriptions, no names. It seems as if these people did not leave their identity, but their purpose in the stones. And perhaps this is the reason we could never know their names. But their message is still alive. Every new excavation, every new pillar, every new discovery only repeats one thing: history is never complete. It is rewritten with every discovery. 11,600 years have passed. Civilizations rose and fell, and history was written over and over again. But Gobekli Tepe still stands there, silent, as if it is in no hurry, because every new generation comes to it with the same hope: perhaps this time, the mystery will be solved. But every excavation provides some answers and leaves behind many more new questions. Today, Scientists agree that Gobekli Tepe is one of the most important archaeological discoveries in human history. But they still do not know what the people who built it called themselves, what language they spoke, what their religion was, who their leaders were, and for what purpose they built such a massive structure. Perhaps the answers to these questions are still buried beneath the soil, because to this day, only a small part of Gobekli Tepe has been unearthed by scientists. The rest still lies silent beneath the layers of the earth. This means that the story we know today is perhaps not the whole story. It is possible that in the coming years, every new excavation will open a new chapter of history, and it is also possible that nothing will be found. This is the most honest part of science. It replaces questions with evidence, not imaginations. But one thing Gobekli Tepe has already changed. It made us realize that our ancestors were perhaps far more organized, creative, and visionary than we could have ever imagined. They did not just carve stones, they carved a question that the world is still searching for the answer to, even 11,600 years later. And perhaps this is the greatest legacy of Gobekli Tepe. It teaches us less about the past and more about ourselves. Because whenever we feel that we have fully understood history, a new stone emerges from beneath the earth and changes our entire story. Because sometimes, what history tells us is far less important than what it has kept hidden from us until now.